So Bruce, 7.5 years after you
Yes.
first conceptualized the idea of a basketball arena in Brooklyn, it's going to happen. What was the process like?
It was long, it was hard, it was a learning experience, and it was very difficult. You have just every aspect of it, whether it was the government agencies. We dealt with everything from Long Island Railroad to MTA to TA to city to state to EPA, DEP. So the first thing was just the process for building an arena where railroad tracks were. Just that process alone is hard enough. Then you had all of the approval process from the government, all of the, what's called environmental impact statements, community input. So it was, there were so many, I like to say, there were so many variables.
What were some of the unique things presented by the fact that the Nets were playing in New Jersey, are still, this is their last season, while this project was going on? You had to maintain the fan excitement both in New Jersey and in Brooklyn, and you had to get companies interested in sponsorship and leasing seats and suites as well. Now, you're ahead of where most teams are on a new arena prior to moving in and on those sales. How have you been able to accomplish that?
Well, there are really two major things. The first thing is that I really, from day one, envisioned this as a regional team. And if you look at the Giants, you look at the Jets, it becomes more obvious. And I looked at it that way, that this is a team which services a region, not just New York or not just Brooklyn or not just New Jersey. The second thing was access. We always tried to have access to fans, differentiate ourselves from some of the other teams in the area. So fans had access to the players, they had access to me, they had access to the people that worked in the arena and so on. So access was a differentiator. And the third thing was a young man whose name is Brett Yormark.
I've met him. I know.
And he's
and
kind
his
of,
brother
he's the
too
secret
with the
weapon.
Panthers.
He's a secret weapon. So he's wonderful to work with, and he's a genius marketer. And so I think he was able to come up with this idea of basically taking it as a regional team, selling regionally, talking about the big move to Brooklyn, and still keeping interest in New Jersey.
The competition, not so much even for general tickets, but for corporate suites, premium seating, and from sponsors. I thought that would make this perhaps a daunting task for a new building, but that hasn't proven to be the case. Why is that?
Number one is Brooklyn. Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn. It's its own brand. And 1 out of every 5 or 6 Americans has a relative that came to Brooklyn, lived in Brooklyn, was from Brooklyn. So the Brooklyn brand is worldwide. And that's a unique thing. So we were able to sell Brooklyn, whether it was to Barclays or any of the sponsors, as its own brand. The second thing is that I always conceived of this as an extravaganza. So I look at this arena as unique in terms of its presentation, its architecture. The third thing is market. Brooklyn's 2.5 million people. It's its own market. You take Newark, good place, but it's 450, 500,000 people. 2.5 million people is a city. And then you've got Queens, another 2.25 million people, Staten Island, Long Island. So its catchment area, if you will, is tremendous.
Of course, with a basketball team there are still a lot of other dates to fill, and presumably you can do this with a lot of concerts and non-basketball events. And I understand that a very important minority owner of the New Jersey Nets is going to open the building. Is that still on?
That is still on. And he may bring a certain
Jay-Z.
beautiful baby. He might bring some beautiful baby and his beautiful wife, Jay-Z. So we'll open on September 28th, 2012 this year, and it will open with a Jay-Z concert. And it's very exciting. He's been wonderful. He's very much part of everything we do. If the celebrity is not very involved in your business, it's not going to work. People can see through that. In the case of Jay-Z, he's very, very involved. He's a very good business person. He comes to some of our regular board meetings. As I say, he's involved in everything from the signage to what the restaurants look at, to the team and so on. So, I'm older. I don't have the kind of taste, and I'm not up on where the world is like a person like Jay-Z is. He's cool. So,
as we sit here today and we know the building's going to open next season, and where we are on sponsorships and so forth moving along well, do you feel comfortable from the financial aspect that the building is going to be profitable and it was a worthwhile investment at your end?
It's going to turn out to be a good investment. I mean, it's not, I can't say this is, like the guy who bought Rockefeller Center flipped it 2 years later and made 5 times as much. But it's going to be a very solid investment. If you think about it, what an arena like we're doing, very hard to do in any other part of the country. It has sources of income which are sponsorships, which are 5 to 20 years. It's got suites, which are 3 to 5 years. It's got daily tickets, which are daily, and then it's got food and beverage, which is per event. So it's got 3 or 4 sources of income, and you put them all together, and you get like a portfolio of income. And then you have a debt service. Well, I would guess it's going to have a very good return on investment, and we are on par and ahead of par in terms of sponsorships or so on. So the investment's going to turn out very, very, very good, just in terms of return.